Welcome to the next episode of Expert Showcase. Today on Expert Showcase we have Wendy McClelland, and she's going to be telling you how you don't have to pay to play to win on Facebook.
Oh, thanks for introducing me, Chris.
I was going to say, no, I was just kind of bip-bopping along. It's all good. And welcome, Wendy. I'm so glad to have you on this awesome show. Wendy and I decided awesome was going to be the word of the episode before we went on. So it's going to be an awesome episode with an awesome guest, Wendy McClelland. Say hi to the folks, Wendy.
Hi, everybody. Excited to be here and share with you some really fun strategies you can use on Facebook without having to buy ads.
Oh, and everybody loves to save money. We'll say everybody loves to be frugal, or let's face it, everybody loves to get better results without having to pay a lot. We're going to get into all of that about not having to pay for play in segment 2. Here in the opening segment, let's talk about your journey, Wendy, and as we like to call it, the hero's journey. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, a hero's journey could be something as drastic as it could be something as drastic as hitting rock bottom, hitting the bottom, going to the bottom of the barrel, really having this terrible life-changing moment, or it could just be a series of small little changes along the way, and it ends up being not as bad or as challenging of a hero's journey. So tell us a little bit about your background, Wendy, and the journey from where you were to where you are now.
Sure. Well, I'll go back about 20 years. I was a newly divorced mom with 3 kids under the age of 10, and I had been an apprentice midwife, so I was helping moms have healthy babies, but I knew I couldn't be on call 24 hours a day anymore as a single parent, and so I thought, well, what do I know how to do well? And thank goodness I'd taken typing in high school, and I was able to type really well, but I had no money, so I got a computer with no money down from one of the big box stores, and they gave you 6 months to pay it off. And I figured in 6 months I can pay for this computer. So I brought it home and I unpacked it, and this is how technologically challenged I was at the time, was I had laid it all out and I picked up the mouse and I pointed it at the screen. And my 10-year-old son says, "No, Mom, you have to put it on the pad. That's how it works." So for those people that are really struggling with technology, we all started somewhere. And I was able to generate money by typing term papers for students, writing menus and brochures, and just anything and everything for small business. Because I had no business connections, I challenged myself to do 10 cold calls every morning by 10 a.m. So that meant I created a binder of companies and designed little brochures and and knocked on doors of people I had never met before. But I mean, I needed to support my children, so you're going to do whatever you have to do, right? And from there, people would say, "Oh, this is a slow time for us," or "This isn't working." And to me, marketing and strategy just came naturally, and I would give them ideas, and they would work, and then they refer more people to me. And that's how the business grew. And one day, my local Chamber of Commerce called and said, "Hey, would you come in? We've heard what you're doing. Can you come?" And I wasn't even a member of the Chamber. And they said, "Can you come in and do some consulting for us?" What we would now probably call business coaching. So they brought in 3 of their clients who were struggling with some stuff, and I worked with them. And at the end of it, they said, "We really loved what you did. Would you do some paid workshops?" Yes, I'll take your money. And the next day, I got a call from our local university college, and they said, "We got your name from the Chamber, and we heard what you're doing, and we'd like you to come in and be a guest instructor for a day in our entrepreneur program." And I said, "Well, I don't have a university degree." And they said, "No, no problem." So I went in, and I said to the instructor that invited me, I said, "So what are the students working on?" And he said, "Well, they're all at different phases of their business. Some are writing marketing plans, some are doing the business plan, some are networking." And I said, "Well, since they're all different phases, let's call it Bring Me Your Toughest Business Problem, and we'll just brainstorm all day." And I know I kind of freaked the guy out because, accountants and university professors, they really like their structure, and I was messing that up. But he let me do it, and we had an amazing day, and that's still one of my favorite workshops to do, is just have people throw questions at me and brainstorm and come up with solutions. And at the end of my day teaching, the professor said to me, "I loved what you did. Would you design an entire curriculum for us?" And so that was a changing moment for me. And one of the things that I always keep in mind and I work with my clients on is when you have one of those moments where something big is happening, you leverage the heck out of it. And so for me, leveraging that moment meant I wanted to have my own radio show. I thought, there's so many people, this is like 1995, so many people having, starting small businesses on the side, but really having no clue how to do it properly. So I drove out to my local talk radio station. I did not have a proposal because at that point in time I didn't even know what a business proposal was. I did not know the name of the marketing manager, and I did not have an appointment. But I went in and I talked to the receptionist, and the marketing manager graciously gave me 10 minutes of his time. And he said, you know, this is a really good idea. Let me talk to our team and I'll get back to you. And before I was even home, my phone rang and he said, we love the idea. And I think it was a Thursday. He said, let's start taping Monday morning. We need 2 weeks worth of scripts from you by Monday. And he said, one other thing is we want you to be hooked up to the internet. Now, I'd heard of the internet, but I didn't really know what it was. So I went home and I looked in the yellow pages and I found the one internet company that was around at that time in my area. And the guy came out, and at that time they had to come to your house to hook you up, and you heard the beep, you know, that sound. And my kids were actually with their father that weekend, and so I was able to I literally didn't go to bed the whole weekend. I surfed the internet, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the future of business. And at that point, there was only about 200,000 web pages, if you can imagine. So General Motors, Kraft Foods, all these big companies. I thought, you know, I can do this. So I got this massive sheet of paper, started drawing what I wanted, taught myself some code, worked with a designer, and built this website. And we launched it, and 3 weeks later, the New York Times picked it as one of the best business sites on the net. Wow. The same day that they chose Microsoft. So again, my question is, okay, how do I leverage this great win, right? So for me, I'm in Canada, and I sent a nationwide press release. And within 8 months, I had anywhere from 8 to 12 web designers working with me. I was being asked to speak all over the North America about this new thing called the internet. And I leveraged the fact that I was a woman, which is rare at that time in the tech field, that I didn't just sit in my mother's basement writing code. I was actually a real live human being living in the world, and that I didn't speak tech talk because I didn't know it. And so all of those factors made me really unique and allowed me to really grow the business very quickly. And I was able to, you know, speak all over North America and grow a great following, and was actually nominee for Canadian Entrepreneur of the Year. So that was an amazing time for me. Yeah. And so I spent 4 or 5 years doing that. It was fun.
That is awesome. And it's funny because one of my mentors, John Maxwell, and the folks on his team always talk about, you know, always never make a point without telling a story, and never tell a story without making a point. I think you very eloquently made the point of your story, which was leverage. I mean, that's kind of one of the keys from the story that I got. The other point that I really would love our listeners to pick up on is courage. And the interesting thing was that you had the courage to go to the radio station without an appointment, without a plan, and just kind of talk to somebody. There are thousands upon thousands of people. I coach a lot of them with great ideas, but struggle to get that courage to take the next step. And a great idea is, you know, a great idea and 25 cents will get you a half a cup of coffee and a bad vending machine, you know, down here in the States. I don't know what actually with the exchange rate, maybe you'll get a whole cup of coffee up in Canada.
Yeah, you might. Thanks for rubbing that one in.
Hey, I've been on both sides. I used to live outside of Toronto, out there, Toronto, up in Detroit. I used to live right outside Detroit, so I've been on both ends of the exchange rate, where you know you get a real good deal going in, or you get a real bad deal. You know, it's like remember the one I went up to the one casino over. I'm not a big gambler, but what I've learned is you go to Canadian casinos on American holidays because the slots are looser. I have no clue why, but it just seems to work that way.
Interesting.
And it was great when you went in and said, "Here's my American money, give me Canadian money so I can play." It was really bad when I said, "Here's my Canadian winnings, give me my American money back." It just shrunk. It was kind of But no, back to your story. I love the fact that you turned a negative of being being divorced, being a mother, and having all those other challenges, and turned it into a positive. And I was there on the typewriter, and that's why I was smiling and laughing, because I remember learning how to type on a typewriter, and I can identify, because back in '95 I was building web pages, so it was something that it was an incredible time back then. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
And,
oh, go ahead.
And one thing I was just going to say, courage is a really, it's something that we all have, but not enough people access it. And I, as a coach myself, that's one of the things that people, I'm so afraid. And I talk to people a lot about fear, and I'll share a bit more about that going forward in my story. But, when you look your fear in the face, and when you actually identify what you're afraid of, it's really not that bad. But some people have this boogeyman of fear in the back of their head, and they don't even know what they're afraid of. And once you've identified it, you can break it apart, and you can actually step beyond the fear and do the thing that you're being called to do.
Yeah, that's so great. So do you have an example from either your own life or a client you work with of where, like, maybe you've, I'll say, stepped into and through your fear and recognized it, conquered it, and used it to propel you forward?
Well, I'll give you kind of, I guess, the most dramatic one in my life is just as all of this great stuff was happening, in late 1999, my kids got a stomach bug, and theirs went away, but mine didn't, and to the point where I was actually losing 2 or 3 pounds a day. I couldn't keep food down. I had bleeding sores in my throat. I could hardly walk. I was having fevers of like 103. I had to give up custody of my children, shut the whole business down, and finally I was going to the doctor, and he couldn't figure out what was wrong, and this went on for weeks, and finally one night I phoned a friend, and I said, I need you to take me to the hospital. I can't walk. And she took me in, and they went to take my blood pressure reading, and they couldn't get a blood pressure reading because I'd been hemorrhaging for 6 weeks. And they drew blood, and they found out that it was an E. coli bacteria that had invaded my whole body, and that's why I thought they couldn't walk, because the E. coli had actually eaten away between 70 and 90% of the lower 3 vertebrae and 2 discs in my spine and 1 kidney, and given me brain damage. So I was given massive blood transfusions the first night, and then transferred into a big trauma center, and I spent 63 days there. But the first few weeks, they weren't sure if I was going to make it because the antibiotics weren't working. And so I had to face the fear of, you may not make it, and your kids may be left without a mother. So that was my big moment, and I had to really examine that. And I've written this story in my book, and I talk about, okay, when the doctor says that to you, what do you react? How do you react? And so for me, it was, all right, I'm going to go into this horrible, fearful place, and I'm going to say, all right, if I don't make it, what can I do? Well, I know that I've got a great community around my children, my ex-husband, his new wife, my parents, the other grandparents, my siblings, my community, my friends. I can write letters and leave videos for my kids on, for different types of things in their lives, like their prom or their birthdays or their wedding. And I can kind of, every time I thought of something I could do, I was able to relax a little bit. And it really helped me to face that massive fear. And so now, when a fear comes up in my business, I go, you know what? You stared death in the face, girl. You can handle this. And actually, earlier this year, I don't know if you can see it there, I got the word fearless tattooed on my arm, so that when I do feel those feelings of fear, which we all have, I'm reminded of what I've gone through, but also that I can be tough to go forward. Yeah. So again, it's, what are you really afraid of? For me, it was leaving my kids without a mother. Okay, what else can I do to fix that, to make that a better situation for them?
And it sounds like a lot of it is also control. In other words, that when you have a fear, part of the fear response is being out of control, and by figuring out what you can do, you start to take your control back. Is that a good way to put it?
I would say that's exactly right, because we do feel powerless when we're being told, and this happened to me because I was in hospital 63 days. I had to learn how to walk again, how to speak again, how to get my memory back, because I had so much brain damage. So I was going back to grade 1 and 2 books. I lost my home. I went bankrupt. So I lost everything again. And when you have that, you do feel out of control. You do feel like you're spiraling down. But if you can take one little step and you can look, okay, I'm bankrupt, now what? And I knew, okay, I've got 9 months of this to do with the courts, and after that I can do this. And once I mapped it out, I felt much safer and I felt much more positive going forward.
Wow, that is an amazing story, and it's kind of a good place to start to wrap up this segment of today's show, because one of the things I want all of our viewers to realize is you don't have to go through the challenges that Wendy went through to benefit from her experience. You know, a lot of people think you have to have that major challenge. I know I was definitely one of them. I mean, growing up I was bullied but had a decent life, and I know a couple of years ago I looked up to God and said, you know, I don't really have that great story that every great speaker has, and if you can see the look on my face right now and understand the sarcasm in my voice, God decided to have a nice sense of humor with me for a year. And in fact, it got to the end of the year and I went, this was divorce, financial meltdown, losing everything, losing a parent to cancer, based on unforeseen cancer, losing a grandparent to an unforeseen stroke. It wasn't as bad as going through a life or death situation myself, but you understand where I'm coming from. And
I do. It's your year of being Job.
Yeah, exactly. And the beautiful part, and the unfortunate part is you had to go through it. The beautiful part is you're now helping other people in different ways getting through that. One of the things we will talk a little bit, I know, in the next segment is about your Social Media with Heart Facebook group. And, now hearing your story, I kind of understand a little bit, I feel I understand a little bit better why a heart-centered business is so important to you. So we're going to leave it at that, folks. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back from the break, we're going to have the second part of today's show, and this is where Wendy's going to talk to you about the fact that you don't have to pay to play to win on Facebook. So stick around for the break, and we'll be right back. And we're back with our awesome guest for today, Wendy McClelland. Wendy, we didn't use awesome enough. We only used it at the beginning, so we'll throw some more awesomes in. This is going to be an awesome segment about where Wendy's going to tell us all about how you don't have to pay to play to win on Facebook. So before we dig into the 3 keys to success, Wendy, give us a real quick overview on what you mean by you don't have to pay to play to win on Facebook.
Sure. Well, for anybody that's been on Facebook for any length of time, you probably noticed about 18 months ago that all of a sudden the reach on your business page posts were just tanking. As an example, I have a little over 3,000 people on my business page, and I was looking at some posts this morning, and one of them had only been shown to 28 people. How sad is that? But I decided Facebook's gone to this pay-to-play model, which means if you want your post to get out to more of your people that have liked your page, you need to pay to buy ads. And I do buy some ads, but I don't spend a lot of money on it. But what I want to do is I'm quite a frugal person, and I'm always trying to find workarounds. I love a challenge, and so I spent quite a bit of time doing research and figuring things out and playing with things, and I found 5 things that you can do to get a whole bunch more people liking your Facebook page every week. On average, I get between 30 and 100 without any advertising at all. So, and also I've got a couple little tips about how to get the engagement up on your post too. I shared with you that one of my posts today went to 28 people. Well, I got one of them so far, and it's only been up an hour. I just checked before we logged on. It's already been shown to 428 people.
Awesome.
So I'll tell you a couple little tricks that you can do to get better reach on your posts as well.
Awesome. So in this segment, and I know we've got a great offer. You guys have to stick around to the end of this segment to find out what it is. We've got a great offer from Wendy coming up, and I'll give you a hint. It's even free. At least I think it is. If I'm reading things right. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. We'll find out. But it looks like it's free. So stick around. In this segment, we're going to go over 3 keys to success. And Wendy, in prep for the show, we talked about this, and she's going to tell you how to reach people with pages. A little thing called the right stuff, the right time, content, and approach to get your fans engaged on Facebook, and then how to gain leverage and how to leverage the massive power of Facebook groups. So Wendy, let's dive in. Let's talk about reaching people with pages. And in the show prep, we talked about how to use both your personal and profile page and business page to get the most reach on Facebook. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I recommend people do is on your personal profile, you have to be very careful about what you post. Facebook doesn't like it if you post a sales pitch or you post something that's too businessy or salesy, but you can still use it to promote events. So what I do on my Facebook cover page, I've created basically an ad for my coaching services, and it says, talks a little bit about what I can offer, and then click here, and when they click, the description gives them more information and a direct link to my website where people can apply to get a 1-hour free coaching session with me. So use the cover photo of your Facebook page, your personal profile, to advertise for you. It's basically a billboard, and it's free advertising. And every time you update that, that's going to go into your news feed as well. Another tip is I see a lot of people who set up their Facebook profile, and they have a business page, but they don't mention the business page on their Facebook profile at all. So I'll go and I'll look, and I'll say, oh, I wonder if they have a business page. And I'll look on the left side, and it doesn't tell me where they work. It doesn't tell me anything about them. So they've just lost a potential customer because I don't know that they have a business page. So make sure that in your About section, you include that. And in your settings, you include a link directly to your Facebook business page. And then what I also do... Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was also going to say about once a week, sometimes twice a week, once in the morning, once in the evening, say Tuesday, Thursday, I will post something like, welcome to all my new friends and followers here on my Facebook profile. I'd love to invite you to my business page as well, where I share daily inspiration, motivation, and social media with heart. And then I have a link to that business page. So I'm promoting the page on my personal profile, and that gets me more likes over there as well.
Yeah, that
so
is...
You can also, if you're doing it, like I do a lot of free webinars, so I'm not selling anything, so I feel comfortable putting those onto my personal profile as well. Another thing you can do too is if you've got satisfied customers and you've got testimonials, if you don't have testimonials, number one, start asking for them. But if you do have them, use those on your personal profile. I often, if I've worked with a coaching client in the afternoon, I might type in something like, had a great coaching session with my client, and I'll ask their permission first if I can use their name. Some are thrilled to have their name out there. Others say, no, I want to keep it private. No problem. And I'll just say, had a great coaching session with my client this afternoon. We were able to, and then I'll list 2 or 3 things that were achieved. And other people reading that post are going to go, I need to get that done. Maybe Wendy could help me too. Or I'll take a testimonial from one of my clients, because I've got tons of them, and I'll say, I always love working with inspired entrepreneurs. Here's what one recently said about our session. If you'd like to know more, click here. So that's what I call leverage. Like, I repurpose everything. So whether it's a tweet that I've gotten, or whether it's a testimonial, or it's a review of my book, I mean, that data is used all over the web and social media.
That is awesome. So a couple things here real quick. First of all, I'm sure we're going to get back to the stuff, to some of the stuff you just said when we get into our segment about getting known, visibility, credibility, and authority, because a lot of what you were just talking about sounds like great visibility, credibility, and authority building things. But the thing I was laughing the most about, and I think I was smacking myself on the head, was when you mentioned profile pictures. Because it's like, yeah, duh, every time a profile picture changed, it goes up, it gets in your camera roll, so to speak. There, I'm dating myself. Camera roll of film. But no, I mean, it gets in your camera roll, and it gets out to the people who've actually your friends and everything else. So, it shows activity. It's kind of like a LinkedIn update, but it's like, it's something so simple that you just go, like I could have had a V8, that type of thing. Oh,
and when you update that profile photo, make sure that you put a description with it as well, because then when it's updated, the person gets a description. And I always have a description that's got a link either to my website, to my opt-in offer, or to my email. So I'm really using that opportunity to the best advantage.
That is awesome. Before we go into the right stuff, I want to ask you one real quick question, and it might be too long for this episode, and it might be something that either we do another segment on or something like that in the future. Facebook just recently did something, or at least it sounds like they did something, where they're diminishing business pages in people's news feed and increasing personal, like your friends' views. Do you have any brief information you could share, or have you seen this? Have you seen this yet?
You know what? I think it really varies on what people respond to in their newsfeed. Here's the number that I've heard. If Facebook were to show you the posts of everybody, on average, if Facebook were to show you the posts of all your friends and all the pages that you followed, you'd be looking at an average of 1,500 posts a day. So Facebook filters for you, and you can go in and set those settings and change it so that you see more posts by your friends or more by the pages that you follow. And if you really follow a page and you want to get every update from them, go to their Facebook page, and at the top you can click on the little Get Notifications tab, and you'll see every post that comes up from them. So you do have some control about what shows up in your newsfeed. But here's the thing too, is if you have friends that are, or businesses you follow, and you never like, comment, or share on anything that they've posted, within about a week to 7 days, Facebook is going to stop showing you their stuff, because they're getting the impression from you that you're not engaged, you're not interested anymore, and they'll feed you other information. I mean, Facebook's massive computers, they analyze every keystroke that we make, and they're feeding us what they think we want. So if you want to see more content from somebody, make sure that you're interacting with their posts.
And that really goes into point number 2 about the right stuff. And this is a great segue into finding the right time, content, and approach to get your fans engaged. Because let's face it, and I'm going to turn it, put back over to you, because this is really your episode, not mine. But let's face it, we as content producers have to start taking some responsibility. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a content producer that goes, my post isn't getting reached. It's like, well, what are you doing to engage the fans? Well, it's Facebook's fault because Facebook's not showing it. Well, dude, create some content people want to engage with, and then you're going to get shown. I mean, it's, granted, Facebook does have control over it, but let's stop blaming other people and start trying to take the responsibility to figure this stuff out, and do the right thing, and find the right time and the right content. So, you talked about right time, right content. Tell us more.
Sure. And one of the things we all have to keep in mind is that Facebook is letting us use their platform free. We're not paying to be there. So they get to make the rules. And so we have to, it's not Facebook's fault. They have a business model, and a very successful one. So they get to make the rules, which is why I always encourage my clients, this is a little off topic, but it's important, is I always encourage my clients to make sure that all their important data is also on their website. So that if Facebook changes its rules tomorrow and says, okay, it's $10 a month for everybody or something, who knows? I don't think they do that, but who knows? You've still got a hub where your valuable content is that you can drive traffic to. So you asked about the right content, the right time. I encourage my clients to look at their analytics, which is on the top of your Facebook business page. Click on that little tab, and it will show you what time of day most of your people are on. And many people will see kind of a straight line, usually between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But some clients I've worked with, depending on the industry, theirs goes way up and down like crazy. So I always say, take a look at the peaks that are in your people visiting, and then post about 5 to 10 minutes before those peaks, because then you're going to get into the news feed of the maximum number of people possible. And check your analytics once a week, because whether it's a holiday, it's a long weekend, it's the summer vacation, it's Christmas, things are going to change, and you may notice a real change. Let's say you have a market that's all moms with kids in school. Over the summer holidays, they're likely to go onto Facebook later at night because the kids are up later at night. So you want to account for that. And then you want to also post content, like you said, that people want. And a really simple thing to do is go look at what people are responding to. Facebook tells you how many people have liked, commented, or shared on your purely text posts, on your graphics posts, on your video posts, on your post with links to something else. And your people will clearly tell you what they want more of. And you want to start delivering that kind of stuff. And then you want to be engaging. Ask questions of people. One of the things that I did last week was I'm doing a women's retreat up here just off of Vancouver on this lovely island for 20 women in September. And I said, I'm doing this retreat, and it's all based around creating your ideal life and that kind of thing. But I said, I'm thinking of doing a business retreat for a full day. Anybody interested? Well, I got tons of responses. And here's what happens. Every time someone likes, comments, or shares a business post, Facebook's computers go, oh, this is important information. We'll share it with a few more of their people. And when those people interact, more people get to see it. So the more engaging you can make that content, the more Facebook's going to share it with people. And you can tell people, hey, if you think this is valuable information, please share it on your wall too. Now, don't do that on every post, But once in a while, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Exactly. And in the end, and this is one of the things that I coach people through, in the end, it only takes one. Meaning it only takes one post that you get proper engagement with to start the ball rolling and get a snowball effect. Every post you have doesn't need to be shared all over the world. If you get one post, if you have 1,000 likes on your Facebook page and you get one post that goes out to 300 or 400 people, all of a sudden you're going to start to get a snowball effect, and it's going to, it's going to help you build your business.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed, two little quick tips for people is, one thing that really works well is video. And anybody that knows me or has followed me for a while knows I love animals. So I usually post one cute animal video of the day. And people say, what's that got to do with business? Well, you know what? My brand is about bringing my authentic self to my business. And that involves my love of animals and my family and my community. So I share things on my business page that are social media minded, but they're also life stuff. And I can tell you that this morning actually, I posted a really cute video of this duck that waits for a little boy after he gets off the school bus, and the duck is so excited when his little owner gets off the bus. I just thought, this is one of the cutest ones I've seen for a long time. I posted that, and that's the one in less than an hour that's had 428 views. And people say, well, doesn't that really dilute your brand? No, because my name, which is my brand, is still getting out in their news feed. So they're being reminded, oh, Wendy McClelland, Wendy McClelland. And here's two little tips. One is, when you post a video, in your description, use the word video. For some reason right now, that's a hot word, and Facebook is sharing those posts with more people. Don't know how long it's going to last, but it's been around now for a couple of months, and it still works. Another word you can use that has been working is the word congratulations. If you use that in one of your Facebook posts, for some reason, I guess Facebook likes it when you're being supportive of your friends or someone, they will share it. And you may say, well, I don't do video, Wendy. I have a challenge in my Facebook group teaching people that just do a 60-second video. You'll get used to it. I mean, I never liked myself on video before either, but now I think, I don't care. The information I'm giving is valuable. That's what I want people to get. And you should do your own videos, but find other videos that your audience would like. I mean, for me, yes, it's cute animals, but I also post videos by people like Gary Vaynerchuk or Anthony Robbins, and those get tons of engagement.
The engagement's going beyond, it's going right by you right now. See, that was engagement. The police were going by right now to engage them. No,
yes, exactly. Well, I did post two great cop stories on the web today about amazing cops, so maybe they heard it.
I was going to say, speaking of feline engagement, we might have I might have one of my feline assistants joining us here in a second. They love The Office for some reason. So
my canine is right. My canine is right beside my feet here. So,
speaking of dogs, completely off the topic, but our audience is going to love it. Have you seen this video yet about the dog? It was from a bank in Thailand. Have you seen this video yet? It's about a 2-minute video. The way the video, and I won't give away the end, and literally I think the video on YouTube is named The Dog.
Oh, yes, I did. The dog's waiting outside the hospital for the owner?
No, no, this one, the dog comes up and a guy's getting a shish kebab or something like that, and the dog pats him and he looks down and he decides to feed the dog. And the entire rest of the video is the dog basically paying it back to the guy. And the ending scene is just a tearjerker. So if you go to YouTube and search on The Dog, I'm guessing it's got like 3.3 million views already. It's a 2-minute video, and you just go, it is one of the cutest things you've ever seen. It's like, so.
You know what? The commercials out of Thailand are amazing. I actually did a blog post about this a couple months ago about, don't sell me, tell me a story.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about. Since caveman times, and we've drawn on cave walls, it's been storytelling that has engaged us. And so when you share your story and your true authentic self in the social media world, people engage with that. And, there's some amazing ads. Thailand, their advertising agencies are just awesome because they create these, I mean, like you say, you tear up, They're just incredible. And I'm loving this new trend in advertising versus push me, push me, push me products, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting you bring up Gary Vaynerchuk, and one last comment I've got, and then we'll definitely go on to gain leverage because I can tell we could talk forever. So this is, kind of, I can tell. But it's interesting because most people, even though he does talk about giving things, most people don't correlate a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk to, I'll say, somebody like yourself, social media with heart. Because if you look at him, he's kind of stiff. And I'm not saying he's not a nice guy, don't get me wrong,
No, no.
but it's kind of the look and the presence. But if you look at what he does, it really is all about heart because he does talk about give everything as much as you can away, give it to people, make them happy, give them value, and then go for the close. And let's face it, unless you're a B corporation, a benefit corporation, you got to figure out a way to make money. So you got to get right with the fact of being a heart-centered business and giving as much as you can, but then asking for the close and doing it in such a way that it's not nasty, but it's kind of firm and say, okay, hey, this is what, just like you with your, with your retreat. Look, I've got a retreat for 20 women. Who wants to come? And by the way, who wants to do a business thing? So it's and it's being comfortable in your own skin to be able to do that. I think a lot of people,
it's valuing yourself. And I've been working really hard the last year and a half, I would say, on mindset, and have put in daily practices into this, and knowing your own value. And really, once you recognize it, other people will as well. But when we're tentative about telling people our pricing or what we can do to serve them, we're going to get tentative clients, and we're going to get people that don't buy in, they don't do the work, and so they don't get the results. You feel like a bad coach or business provider. They feel bad. They're not going to tell their friends about you in a good way. So once we're firm in who we are, and like you say, get comfortable in your own skin, things just shift and the business starts to grow and the right people will be attracted to you.
And to wrap that back into the right stuff before we move on to gain leverage, when you get right with yourself, it's much easier to resonate with people and get people engaged. We talk about, and as I'm sure you've heard in your circles, because I've already heard you mention Tony Robbins about a resonance factor. People resonate on a different level in the whole 9 yards. Completely other episode. I think, Wendy, we got to have 17 other episodes. We got so much to talk about. So at this point, like I joked around with our last guest, I'm going to pull a hook out. Remember on Hee Haw, the old hook with the, I'm pulling the hook out for myself at this point. Let's move on to gain leverage because this is about you, and I love this. I love at least the one Facebook group book. I can talk today. Facebook group I know about, the social media with heart. So tell us about how to gain leverage with the massive power of Facebook groups.
Well, I've got two strategies. One of them is joining groups of two types of people. For me, I join groups of my peers, so other speakers, coaches, authors, because that's where I'm going to be able to get feedback from people that are doing similar things to me. They may have resources that I can use. I can help them. So it's a very supportive environment. I also then join groups of people that are my potential clients because that's where I can help them. And in those groups, I will look at conversations. If I can add to something or if I can answer a question, I will. And if I engage with someone, say we go back and forth 2 or 3 times, I'll send them a friend request. And once the friend request is confirmed, which 9 times out of 10 it is, because now I've established a bit of a rapport with the person, I will send them a message saying, hey, thanks for connecting with me. I'm looking forward to your posts. I try to find something in their profile that tells me a bit about them. Maybe they've got a dog, or I'll say, oh, how old's your dog? Or what a cute, your child's so cute, or just something that they know that, oh, she really did look at my page. And then I'll say, I've also liked your business page if I can find it. If I can't, I'll say, hey, have you got a business page I can follow so I can learn more about what you do in the world? And then I'll say, I'd also like to invite you to my business page for daily inspiration and motivation. And here's my new Facebook group if you want to join too. I never check to see if people have joined or if they have liked my business page, even though I've liked their business page first. That's not the point for me. The point is I'm going to give you affirmation that what you're posting on your page is great stuff. I'm going to like a few of the posts as well. And then I'm also going to like your business page. Whether or not that's reciprocated, it doesn't matter to me. But I find this personal approach of writing on someone's wall, those kinds of things, has been amazing for me. And that's one of the tips I share with people. That's how you invite people to like your business page. And that's probably you know, one of the ways that I get, if I'm strategic with it and spend enough time on it, I can get, you know, 20 or 30 new likes in 24 hours on my business page.
And isn't it amazing what happens when you give expecting nothing in return, so to speak? You know, it's funny because a band I used to follow very, very closely, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's kind of a line from one of their songs.
Yes.
You know TSO?
I do.
I was at on their first tour back in '95 or '99 when they came to Detroit. I was, you know, one of the first like 10 shows they did, and it was very interesting to watch these 80-year-old people who are enjoying the music and watching them not realize that the band was actually created from a bunch of heavy / speed metal musicians. And it was kind of interesting to watch, you know, how you put somebody in a very different environment and all of a sudden it completely changes. They've been around now for 20 years and it's just been, it was nice to see. And it's, you know, it actually fits into our conversation because they got people engaged, because at those first concerts, they started a meet and greet line for everybody. And even when they were doing 2,000 and 3,000 people, you know, in an arena, they would let people come out, shake their hands, get autograph, and meet and greet them. And now even with the large arenas, they do it when they can. And that's engagement. And that builds a rabid fan base. So they should have a Facebook group. We should tell them about that.
Yeah. So I started this Facebook group. The other side of it is I started this Facebook group out of my frustration from seeing so many posts saying, take our course and you'll earn 6 figures in 6 months, or you'll earn 7 figures, or the 7-figure breakthrough. And you know what? I love making money, but that's not what it's all about for me. And I just thought, you know, I'm really tired of the sales pitch. So I started this group to help people find their authentic voice, build a brand with heart, have a group of like-minded people where they can come and say, hey, I've just launched a new website. Can you give me a review? Or I'm thinking about this. Can you give me some suggestions? And the first weekend I did a free webinar about building a brand with heart. And it talks about bringing your authentic self and how do you balance that? How much of yourself do you share and how much you hold back? And then how you leverage that and taking it out into the bigger social media world in an authentic way. And the group so far has been awesome. Like I'm really happy with the people that are there, and it's growing quickly. And yeah, the interaction's been awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, it's an incredible group. I know I'm a part of it, and I'm sure that, you know, even though we don't have the link on here, it'll be easy to find once you connect up with Wendy on her website and everything. There is one more question before we wrap this segment up, or this piece of the segment. There's one more question. With all the Facebook groups out there, with all the LinkedIn groups, with all the things that fight for people's attention, what would you say to the naysayers who say, oh, this is just one more group I have to be a part of and join and follow? You know, why would I want to create a group? You know, in other words, why would I want to create a group when it's just one more group somebody's going to have to follow, or one more thing somebody's going to have to do? What would you say to the naysayers?
I would say, I thought about starting a group. It took me 4 months to make the decision. So it was not made quickly. And I had been thinking about it because I wanted to find a better way to engage more deeply with people in my tribe. And I felt my Facebook page was good, but I was having to pay to get the posts out to people. And I thought, you know, a group is probably a better way to do this. And so far it has turned out to be. But I would say only if you have a true purpose about why you're doing this, and you have a real message that you're very clear about, should you start a Facebook group. And then be clear about who you want in. And you know, my group is closed. You have to apply to come in, and most people get in. But, you know, occasionally a spammer will slip through my radar and, you know, start posting sales pitchy sunglasses for sale or something, and they're immediately out. It's a lot. It's work. And I'm lucky I have someone who is helping me with managing the group when I'm not there. She, you know, checks things out. And I wrote the rules very clearly in the beginning. I have an intro video so people know the rules right off the bat. And so far for me, it's been really good. I feel like I'm able to really connect with people more and have built my tribe more. And if you're not into really connecting with people, it's not a good idea. But if you have a clear message and you know what you want to get out of the group, you know your purpose, then it can be a really helpful thing. One thing I did when I started my group was actually left a whole bunch of other groups that I wasn't really engaged with, that weren't really filling the need I had originally signed up for. I also unsubscribed from a lot of newsletters, and that goes totally contrary because I publish a newsletter and I have a Facebook group, and I'm telling people to leave groups and I'm unsubscribed. But I believe in quality, not quantity, and if you can get your best stuff out of one newsletter and 2 Facebook groups, go for it.
And for me, you really hit on the key there at the end where, you said it was not necessarily about quantity, but it's quality. But the groups you left and the newsletters you left weren't filling the need and the reason you originally signed up for them. And if you're going to start a Facebook group, yes, there's a million of them out there. If you fill a need for people and get the right people in the group, people will choose your group over somebody else's. And if they leave somebody else's, it's because that person wasn't fulfilling their needs. So if we circle this back around to having a business with heart, at that point, instead of looking that you're taking things from people, look at it that you're giving something to somebody and also possibly being catalyst for the person running the other group to say, wait a minute, I just lost 75% of my group. Why? And then all of a sudden figure out, oh, it's because I wasn't giving them what they wanted, so I better start doing that. So it could be a positive all the way around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, in this piece of today's show, we were talking about how you don't have to pay to play to win on Facebook. And we talked about reaching people with pages. We talked about the right stuff, the right time, the right content, the right approach, and then gaining leverage. So before we take a break, I'm going to put a website up here on the screen. It's a bit.ly website, and it's for you. And it's a freebie offer, right, Wendy? I just want to make sure.
I think it is, but yeah, I sent it to you a while ago, and I honestly can't remember.
Oh,
but here's the deal. It's my Facebook no ads course, and it teaches you all the things I do to get 30 to 100 new likes every week with no ads.
Okay.
If it is a paid course, here's what I'll tell you. The most it's going to cost you is $29, but I probably have discounted it. But if you buy the course and you email me after that you bought it because of this webinar, I'll give you access to another free Facebook course that I've just created too. So if you do purchase it, you're going to get a bonus from me. Just send me a quick email, and I'll give you a link to another free Facebook course.
I'm sorry, it is a paid course. It's my fault. I apologize for everybody who I got all psyched. See, I really should look at some of this stuff before and remember what I've looked at. I need a memory guy on this show. Yeah, you still have it listed as a $29 course.
Okay.
And I think that's
trust me, it's well worth the $29. And I'll give you a bonus to another Facebook course that I have too that's got lots more content as well. So.
Oh, that's great.
People can get that bonus.
Well, thank you. Yeah. That at least saves me from going to have to edit out my oopsie earlier saying it was a free course. So I apologize for that. But hey, you did give them something for free, so I really didn't technically lie. Yeah.
And they can also, if they go to my website at the top, there's a guide there. They can get free 5 how-to guides. How to write a press release, how to do trade shows, how to do joint ventures, and there's 2 more. I have tons of free content, so if you pay me $29, you're still going to get a ton of free stuff anyway.
Exactly, and I can tell just from talking with you on the interview too that you have a lot of great information to share. And let's face it, paying $29 for a course, if it shows you how to get 30 to 100 likes every day, or I should say, with it showing you how to get 30 to 100 Facebook likes every week with no ads, it's a lot better than paying 30 or 50 or 100 bucks a week to get ads to just get the 30 or 100 Facebook likes. So I suggest everybody go out, take the course, take a look, and then, like Wendy said, if you buy it, send her an email, let her know you bought it through watching it on Expert Showcase, and which would be great. And she'll give you another free course. That's awesome. So we're going to take a very quick break here, and we're going to be back, and we're going to talk to Wendy about how she gets herself known. In other words, how she builds visibility, establishes credibility, and is becoming the leading authority in her niche or niche. I'm sorry, I'm an American. I say it wrong. I know it's niche. Mark Mawhinney from Natural Born Coaches, kind of was the first one to remind me of that. And it's just like, okay, fine, I'll start saying it niche from now on, but I just can't get it right in my head. So stick around while you're waiting the break. Go to the link that's on the screen. It's bit.ly/FB no ads. Hey, that makes sense. It's funny when it's all caps, it makes a lot of sense. When it was small, it was kind of like, it's just a bunch of characters, but it does spell FB no ads. Awesome. You're smart there, Wendy. I like it. Makes simple.
Sometimes I do things right.
Makes sense. So go to bit.ly/FB no ads, get Wendy's course, and then join us on the flip side where we're going to talk about how Wendy gets known. And hang with us. We'll be right back. And we're back on Expert Showcase with our awesome guest for today, Wendy McClelland. And in this piece of the episode, we're going to talk about getting known. And we're going to talk to Wendy about how she builds visibility, credibility, and authority. So Wendy, let's start off with visibility. Either now or as you were building your business, what did you or have you done in the past? To build visibility for yourself and for your business?
Oh, so many things. First of all, I encourage people to decide who you're targeting to be visible to. Everybody has a different target audience, and you should be really clear on that, not just age and gender and geographic. You want to know, where do they shop, what car do they drive, where do they vacation. The deeper you can go into that person's identity or identities, you may have more than one target group, the easier it's going to be to connect with them. So one of the things, because I like to connect with entrepreneurs, professionals, that kind of thing, last year I did a lot of speaking. I was speaking at between, say, 3 to 6 meetup or business organization groups every month, and that got me in front of my ideal audience. It allowed me to share some of my knowledge. I had a handout form for everybody, and on there I was very multi-purpose. It asked for their feedback, and then I asked their permission to use their feedback on my social media, so it gave me tons of testimonials. I also asked if they liked my business bundle of how-to guides, and that put them on my mailing list. And then I explained on the bottom my other services that I offer, and they can tick that off if they want more information. And then within 48, sometimes 72 hours, depending how busy I was, I did an email back to those people and thanked them for being there, and here's your free guides that you asked for, and I noticed you're interested in this, in coaching or in business strategy. Here's my calendar. Would you like to book a time to talk about that? So I had a whole system in place, and that was really helpful to me. I also have been doing a lot of webinars. I did a series of, one was on Facebook, one was on LinkedIn in April of 2015 of this year, and I ran them only for about 3 weeks, and in that 3 weeks I got an additional 500 people on my mailing list.
Wow.
So that's one way to build your credibility. I post every day on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and I'm engaging more on Twitter now as well, and trying to not just post stuff that is pushing information to people, but sharing other people's content as well. Here's a little LinkedIn tip for people. If you're trying to get the attention of someone who's an influencer in your field or a thought leader, I would suggest you read one of their books, watch one of their webinars, or go hear them speak live, and then reach out to them on LinkedIn and ask to connect. And don't use that LinkedIn template. It's terrible. It makes you look lazy. You want to customize it. And so you say something like, hey, I just read, like, as an example, let's say we mentioned Tony Robbins. So I just read your latest book. It's a financial one. I can't remember the title, but I really got some great information, and it's already changed the way I handle my finances. I'd love to connect with you here on LinkedIn. 9 times out of 10, they're going to accept that request. Then, when they've accepted it, then you send a thank you note, and that's the silver bullet. Most people don't bother to do that, and it's a great way to break the ice to get you in their mind another time. Then, write a recommendation for them on LinkedIn about the book, about the talk, about the webinar, because now you've hit their radar 3 times in a very short period of time. And then start sharing some of their posts on social media. And I did this with Brian Tracy, and when I wrote my book and published it last year, I reached out to Brian because I'd established this rapport with him before, and he wrote me a review for my book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways to really up your game and to get known in the higher level circles that you want to connect with.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you know, I'll kind of summarize from a visibility standpoint. I love the way you said understand how or who you want to be visible to first, then go out, find out where they're at, and pretty much do what it takes to get seen, so to speak. You know, do the work and have the courage it takes to get seen, and do the right things. You know, mention them and do it all with true and authenticity. And if you do it that way, or just not a publicity hound, it's going to work. If you're just out seeking the next slice of publicity, then you're probably going to have a challenge. So yeah, I love it. I love the fact that, you know, it's pretty much, if you want to be visible, understand who you want to be visible to, and then put yourself in front of them and keep going at it until they do see you. You know, it's kind of like waving.
Exactly.
It's kind of like waving from the back of the audience. If they don't see you from the back, you walk up closer. If they don't see you closer, you walk up, and eventually you're on stage going, okay, do you see me now? Good.
Yeah, and it goes back to knowing what your goals are. Do you want to be a speaker? Do you want to be an author? Do you want to be a coach? What do you want to be doing? And then you've got to map out your strategy to do that. One of the things that I've done, and I encourage all my clients to do, or people that aren't clients, invest in yourself. If you want to be a speaker, get someone to videotape you speaking. Get out and speak as much as you can when you start out. And then that video becomes a piece of your promotion. My video, one I did probably 2 years ago on, I call it Social Media Demystified, and it's kind of like an overview of social media for people. That video alone has gotten me so many speaking engagements because people see it on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on my website, it's on my LinkedIn profile. So if you want to get somewhere, invest in yourself. When I wrote my book, I invested in some training. Now I was able to get my book to #1 in my category on Amazon without spending 1 penny on marketing. And now I teach other people how to do that. So invest in yourself and, you know, be clear on your goals, have a plan of how you're going to reach them, and then invest what it takes to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of goes from visibility into credibility, because once you got people to see you, in other words, you know, once you got Brian Tracy to see you, you know, if you weren't credible, he wasn't going to write your review for the book. I mean, you know, let's face it, it's, you know, he probably gets 1,000 requests a day to write a review for somebody's book here, there, or everywhere, and he probably turns down 99.999, like the old Ivory commercial, 99 and 44 100% pure. There we go. There's a real dating. I love dating myself because people look and go, "You can't be that old," and it's like, yeah, that's right. I'm the Dick Clark of this industry, baby. But so that's where you start to build credibility. So other than reaching out and constantly doing the right thing with Brian, what did you do to build your credibility and to establish your credibility so that when you asked him, you know, he said, "Yeah, I'll write the you know, the review," or so that people come up and believe, because let's face it, being credible is being a believable expert, believe that you're the one to help them solve their issues?
I often let my clients speak for me. A lot of my business comes from referrals, and a lot of it comes from great testimonials that people have written for me that I use on social media. And I have amazing clients. One of the things that I do for my clients, and they do in return, and I never ask them to do, but is when one of my clients has a win, like today is the last 2 days have been a book launch for one of my clients. So I've been promoting her book really heavily for her. I've also included it in my newsletter. And she's also now, she's referred a couple of clients to me. And, you know, I just believe, I know I've got great gifts that I was put here to use. And if I give them in an authentic, real way, the right people are going to come. And I know that sounds really airy-fairy. I am a real strategic planner, though. Like, I have a reason for everything I do. But I also believe that there's greater forces at work, and that once you get in alignment with who you really are and what you're really great at, because we're all great at something, things will start to happen. And you've got to be open-minded. You know, you've got to be, okay, I'm going to do this, and even though it really scares me, I'm going to do it. Because when you open up your heart to be a little less fearless, to be more fearless rather, the right people come into your life. And I can't share with you what I've got planned for the next 6 months, But if you told me 2 months ago that these kind of things were going to be happening, I would have said, I don't think so. But they're huge. Like they're connections with people, they're joint ventures with people that are just amazing. But it's because I've really worked hard, like I said earlier, for the last 18 months on mindset and giving and being really authentic and real with people. And that's built my profile, you know.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, we live in this society of, and I'm going to take a quick digression, we live in this society of instant gratification, and we live, you know, and we've had to live through that kind of me generation, so to speak. And what people in the me generation have to realize and understand, that for every Facebook, for every overnight sensation, for every person you think came out of nowhere to be the next star on something, there's 100 people who've been working, or 1,000 people who've been working long and hard, and by the time you know their name, they put in, you know, years and years worth of work. Like, you know, a great example is Brendan Burchard. You know, a lot of people don't know he was a children's book author before he's written children's books, and I happen that he was part of Ken MacArthur's JV Alert Live Inner Circle, I guess I think at one point, and you know, I think I know some people who knew him kind of when, so to speak, and every now and then I'll hear a story and you just sit back and laugh, because you look at the, you know, this, I'll say, kid, you know, Experts Academy, you know, this great thing, and he looks like he just came on the scene. He's been, you know, toiling away for many years until he found his so to speak, that he could charge 10 grand for a coaching, for a coaching package and that sort of thing. So yes.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I think you can't also one thing I want to say is that you can't compare yourself to anybody else. You know, there's a lot of people out there talking about social media and about Facebook and LinkedIn. And if I started thinking about all those people, I would be paralyzed. But my realization is my position on it, my focus, or the way that I look at it or share it is totally different, and so is everybody else's. So you could have 10,000 people sharing the same message, but because they're bringing their unique selves to it, it's going to sound like a different message, and it's going to appeal to a different tribe. And so you can't compare yourself to what someone else is doing. You should, because what happens is when you try to be like somebody else, you aren't being authentic, and people know that, and you repel them versus attract them.
Yep, exactly. And that kind of moves us into authority. I mean, you know, because you're, you know, obviously from talking with you here, from watching your work, you're an authority on your niche. How did you go from building that credibility to becoming a recognized authority in your niche?
You know, it's not okay. You see the map behind me?
Yes.
There's a map on the wall. There are jewels on all the places that I am planning to go. My vision board is behind me. And so I have a very clear focus of what I want to do. And so I'm balancing between being very strategic and being very heart-centered. And so I know exactly what I want. In front of me on my my desk thing here, I have my goals for 2015, and they're massive. And so every time I sit at my desk, I see them. So I'm always propelling towards those big goals, and as it goes along, I've just accumulated more people in the tribe, more people have come on side, and more opportunities have opened up for me. And I've always, like when I went to teach at the university and then went to ask for the radio show, I go and ask for things. I'm going to take it. And if I go and I want to meet somebody and I don't have a connection to them, I'll go and see who do they know on LinkedIn that can do an introduction for me. So you've got to break out of that, oh, they're going to come to me, it's all going to happen quickly. Go and ask. That's the biggest message I can give people, is just bite down the fear and go and ask.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that, and we'll kind of head towards the wrap-up of this piece of this segment so we can eventually get to the Getting Found segment. But this has been such a great conversation, and people who watch these are going to go, Chris, you just talk too long. Shut up and let Wendy talk. But no, the key there is when you are credible and when you're a believable expert, you have to take those next steps to move into authority status. Wendy did it with a book. Plus, she, which, the root of authority is author. Plus, she's done other things to not only be a credible expert and establish credibility, but set herself up as the authority. She has people say that she's done good work for them. She has outside testimonials. And let's face it, building up being a credible expert and being the authority, it's much easier when other people are saying it about you than when you're saying it about yourself. Right, Wendy?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it just naturally grows from there, you know. And but again, who you're trying to reach, create your plan, and create things that you like. If you want to be an author, start watching webinars on how to write your book and build your marketing plan as you go, and ask other people, get into Facebook groups about authors, you know, attend webinar. I mean, whatever it takes to learn. Today is one of the best times to be alive and be in business, because the knowledge that you need, you don't need to go in and get an MBA anymore. You can learn everything you need to learn online.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's a great place to wrap this piece of this segment up. So once again, today we're still talking with Wendy McClelland. This was our Getting Known segment, and she talked about how she built visibility, credibility, and authority. We're going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to be back with our final segment of the day, which is our Getting Found segment. And we're going to talk to Wendy a bit about how she uses video and or other content marketing efforts to, you know, get found and to get out there. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Expert Showcase. We have our awesome guest for the day, Wendy McClelland, who's talking about you don't have to pay to play to win on Facebook. In this part of the segment, we're going to talk about getting found, and we're going to talk about what video or other content marketing efforts you're doing, Wendy, to get found and to get more people attracted to you. For those of you who are joining us maybe for the first time and aren't exposed to the world of content marketing or video content marketing, it's pretty simple. Content marketing is creating content, creating information, creating a blog post, creating something about something that you know about. And I know something is never a great word to use in a case like this, but it's the best way to describe it. To create a piece of intellectual property, something that you know, write something that you know about, and get it out there for people to find. Traditional marketing is paying for things. Content marketing is letting your words and actions speak for themselves. So, Wendy, whether it's video or written content marketing, what do you do? What are you doing at this point in the content marketing space to get found?
So many things. I do a lot of videos. I often do them just on my phone, like a little 60-second business tip. I have 2 adorable grandsons that live really close to me, and I usually babysit them 1 day a week. So I sometimes will do what I call my nanapreneur videos. And I'm usually on the floor with Lego and cars and things like that. And just a little business tip of the day from Nanapreneur. Then I also have videos of me speaking that are all over the web as well. But I also have created a number of courses, and those generate lots of clients for me too. And what I do is I do experiments. So I experimented with Facebook and how to get reach without paying for ads, so I created a course on that. I have a course called the LinkedIn Deep Dive, and that's things that you can do to really get more exposure on LinkedIn. And you talked about content in terms of a blog post. I wrote a blog post on LinkedIn. They announced a new blog platform on LinkedIn where everybody, even free memberships, could write these long blog posts, up to 2,000 words. And so I wrote one in April of 2014, and it was called Why I Say No to Coffee Meetings. And because the previous year I'd really tracked these meetings that I was having that were just like, you know, an hour to get there, an hour of coffee, an hour to get home, and nothing. And I thought, okay, I'm doing this all wrong. So I wrote an article about how I was reevaluating that, and how now when someone wants to meet with me for coffee, I will say, what's the purpose or the goal of the meeting? And 9 times out of 10, it's they just want information. And I'll say, oh, I've got a video on that on my YouTube channel. Oh, I've got a blog post. Or here's a free report. So I don't have to meet with them. Then, if I still need to meet with them, I'll say, hey, can we just do a virtual coffee? Can we hook up on Skype for 20 minutes? And I'll send them to my online calendar. They can book a time. What happened when I put this post up? I put it up 7 o'clock on a Monday morning, and I think it was the first week that LinkedIn was allowing free memberships, which is what I had at the time, to post blog posts. So I'm a firstborn child, overachiever, so I had to be first. So I put my post up, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours later, I get this email from this guy, and he said, how did you get in LinkedIn's recommended post for the day? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And I went and looked, and in 2 hours, 10,000 people had read the post.
Wow.
150 comments. By the end of the week, over 55,000 people had read it. I had gotten over 500 comments. It had been shared over 3,000 times. It's been shared on, all over LinkedIn and on other blogs and all over the place. And of all those comments, I responded to almost every one of them. And I would say 80% were positive, saying, oh, finally someone said, don't waste time on coffee meetings. But 20% were very negative. Don't you know you're supposed to give before you get? You're being selfish. Don't you believe in paying it forward? And I thought, you people have no clue who I am, and I'm the least selfish person you're ever going to meet. And I laughed. I just thought, this is hilarious. It was so funny. But it also hurt me a little bit. And I thought, oh, this is God. So I wrote a second up post saying why I don't always say no to coffee meetings. Well, that started a firestorm, too, because I had all these women emailing me saying, or private messaging me on LinkedIn saying, oh, I'm so sorry people called you selfish and mean. That's so awful. Are you okay? And then I had a bunch of men private message me going, you didn't need to write that secondary post. You should have just stood firm on your opinion. And I thought, this is fascinating to observe the difference in human behavior. But out of that, I got 150 new connections. And some of them were people that disagreed with me. And that's fine. You can disagree with me. Just be respectful. And, hey, we can be best buds. I don't care if you don't agree with me on everything. And a number of them have become clients. I got 3 media interviews out of it. So that exploded my, my knowledge, my name recognition on LinkedIn. And now it never fails. If I go to an event where there's more than, say, 50 people, someone will come up and go, hey, you want to go for coffee? Just joking.
Oh, that's great.
So it's crazy. So, you never know when something's going to go viral. And it wasn't a plan. It just happened. It hasn't happened since, but I haven't really tried to make it happen again because I don't know if I can handle another 500 comments and responding to them all, because I like to respond to people when they make a comment. But that really helped. And then when I speak at events now, I always get the video from the event organizer and use that video as part of my promo. And, Facebook and my newsletter, I keep in touch with people. And as an example, I sent the newsletter out today, and in there were 3 free webinars that I'm doing. Invitation to join my Facebook social media with Heart group. And then promo for my friend's book, my client's book that just came out. And then one other thing about if it's time for you to hire a coach, I'll give you a free hour of coaching to see if we're a good fit, kind of thing. So lots of give, and then the ask.
Yeah, exactly.
And so those are just the things that I'm doing now. Yeah.
And that's great. And the one piece of that story that I want to take our viewers on a quick sojourn into was the fact of the part that video played in that. Because when you wrote the post, and the reason you stopped doing the coffee meetings, part of that reason was because you had video and you had content you could direct people to. So,
exactly.
And the reason I bring it up is because, as you know, when doing social media, when doing video, when doing content marketing, sometimes ROI is difficult to identify, because sometimes it wasn't the first video that actually got them to be a client, and you might not even know that they watched that video, but they eventually came through and you got them as a client. So this is a great case where you started to do video, you had it out there so you could stop doing the coffee meetings, and because you decided to stop doing that, you wrote a post about it, which then led to you getting more connections, which also led to getting you clients. So a lot of people would look at that and say that the post was what generated the clients, and in part it did, but you got to look all the way back to the beginning of the chain and go, if you didn't have the content to give them, you would never have stopped the coffee meetings, and you would never have written the post, which would never have gotten the other clients. So
and we know that over 40% of people that go online now, when they search, they're looking for video. Yeah. And so people want video. Sure, some people still want to read, but if you can offer them a video and do it in a short period of time, people who take my trainings go, wow, that wasn't a very long training. Like my Facebook course, I think it's 45 minutes. And I say, yeah, but did you get value out of it? I don't do fluff. Like, I'm going to give you point, here's what you do, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's just going to be pure information. And that's what people want, and especially because we watch a lot of our videos on our phone, right? And so we don't want to use too much time on the phone watching the video, because our data plans might be expensive, or we're sitting in the doctor's office waiting for an appointment, or we're waiting at, wherever it is. So video, especially those short capture videos of great information, I mean, it's so powerful, so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been awesome. This is kind of where, I'm looking at the
It
time
has been
going,
awesome.
man, it just, the time flies. I got to start structuring these things better and have people on for like 7 episodes so we can really talk as much as much as we have. So today's been great. It's been awesome. Depends on how you're watching this video. You might have seen this all together. You might have seen it in parts. If you happen to be watching the part that's just about getting found, go back especially and watch Wendy's the piece that Wendy and I did together based on Wendy showing you how that you don't have to pay to play to get on Facebook. Wendy, before I kind of close up and give the final call to action, was there any thoughts you wanted to leave our viewers with today?
Just be your real self on social media. Don't create a second persona. You don't have to share everything. I wrote a post the other night and I found a beautiful graphic of a broken heart. And I said, my heart is breaking because I keep seeing people post really negative things about their partners or their children online. And this is just not how social media should be done. But be your authentic self and know who you want to connect with, and the right audience is going to find you. And I mean, do this stuff to get out there. Use video. I mean, there's so many things, but just be your real self. I think that's the most important thing. Just be who you really are.
That is so great. I can't think of a better way to end this. So once again, watch the episode. Head out to, before I give you our call to action, head out to a link, bit.ly/FBNoAds, and get Wendy's course. If you're a coach and you like what you saw today, which if you stuck with us this long, we know you did, and you want to be a guest on Expert Showcase, go to expertshowcase.com, click on the apply button, send us your information. If we feel you're a good fit, we'll reach back out to you. We'll get you all booked up and get you on Expert Showcase. And if you're a coach and you realize the power of video content marketing and the power of having this video content, having a library of video, a branded video content is what you need to help propel your business forward, go to VideoContent.Agency. Check out what we offer, and then get in contact with us. Let's see if we're a good fit to work together. If we are, we'll customize a plan to fit you and do what we can to understand and help you achieve your goals and give you everything that video and video content marketing has to offer. So until next time, Wendy, I look forward to talking to you soon and seeing you in your Facebook group, and everybody else, looking forward to connect with you and making it a great day.